Today we're looking at how to drive in the country. So the hazards on country roads, the speed limits, how to take care and how to stay safe. So let's go and take a drive in the country. Okay, so driving along a reasonably narrow country lane. Not completely sure of exactly what's going on ahead, so we're keeping around about 20-25 miles an hour, looking well ahead. Really trying to make sure that we're not going to encounter any traffic coming the other way. And as we come around this left-hand bend, we can see that there's a junction coming up ahead. So um, the line's there indicating that with a give way. So coming down to that steadily, trying to make sure we can see both ways. Car coming from the left, and that's being followed by further traffic. So we're going to be waiting, and the road that we're going to turn onto initially is going to be reasonably wide. So we're going to get ourselves up briskly. We've got a white line back down the middle, so we've now got enough room to pass vehicles comfortably. But there's a slow sign there, so slow on the road. So that indicates that there must be something coming ahead that we need to be careful of. Think of slow as saying slow down, look out, warning. So carrying on down, and we can see again nice and clearly ahead of us. So this piece of the journey is not too bad, but then another slow warning together with a warning triangle telling us that there's a bend to the left. And there we go, as the road starts to bend round to the left. The view gets less good and we slow down a bit for that. As I say, this piece of the road is not too bad. Although there's a white line, it's not particularly now. What we're really looking out for here, we're only doing about 30 miles an hour. You can see that the speedometer at the moment is in kilometres. And now we're being warned that the road is going to narrow from both sides. And we've got again a bit of a blind bend, so we're slowing down again further to around about 20 miles an hour. And now the white line's disappeared, so we want to be more careful again of the width restrictions. And what we're thinking about all the time is what other kind of road users might we encounter down here. We're obviously potentially going to come across farm traffic, cyclists, walkers, horses. So whenever the view is poor, we're slowing down and trying to look across to the left-hand side if it's a left-hand bend, sorry, and towards the right if it's a right-hand bend. Where we've got lower walls or hedges, then we can look across those, but where that's not the case, then we're going to have to slow down more because our view is obscured and we can't carry on at a speed that we wouldn't be able to stop at within the distance we can see to be clear. So again, we're getting more warnings to go slower, so we're keeping it below 30 miles an hour. The speed limit on this piece of road is actually 60 miles an hour. Again, a warning sign there on the left telling us that the road bends to the left quite sharply, so again we're going to just ease off a little as we come into that, basically anticipating this black chevrons telling us that it's even more sharp than we might expect, and we are just anticipating things that might happen, and that's why we slow down. We want to be able to stop if necessary. So far we've not really encountered much traffic, but that can lead you into a false sense of security. You have to remain vigilant at all times. So we're picking the speed up again, back towards where it was going up towards 30, but again we slowed down as the road now is ahead of us. Car coming the other way, so passing him around about the 25 mile an hour mark. And again, as we proceed ahead, the sunshine at this particular time of year, it's the late September sun, so that's relatively low. We've got some crests to deal with as well, so we can't see over the hump. And here we go again, we're getting up to about 30 miles an hour now. So half the actual speed limit, because trying to drive anywhere near the speed limit on here would just be extremely reckless. And again, slowing down because the road's getting now easing over to the left until we could see, because there was a van on the far side, but so we eased over to let him through, but he chose to let us through, so I think he gave us a flash of the lights there and we've carried on. squeezing past those two vehicles, and then carrying on down this piece of road. Again, it's quite straight at this point, so we're able to get our speed back up to around about 30, but always looking ahead, looking to see where the road either narrows, bends, or goes up or down a crest, which will reduce visibility. Staying well to our side of the road at all times. As you can see, we're not weaving across to the wrong side of the road at any point. If you were trying to drive this road very quickly, then moving over to the far side would be the way of getting yourself through quicker, but we're not trying to do that, so we keep to our side to improve our view and put ourselves away from danger. So we just went past a parked up Land Rover there. They're obviously repairing the dry stone wall. Again, we needed to be prepared to stop. We're on a piece of road now that's slightly more open. We've got a good view ahead, so we picked up the pace a little bit, getting up to around about 35 miles an hour there. But then we got a warning telling us to slow down again. We don't know what's ahead, and also that the road is going to twist to the right and then back to the left. So we slowed right down towards 20, trying to stay well over, just again anticipating that traffic could be coming the other way. And if there is, we'll be well over, we'll be able to stop, and we won't be in their way, and we won't risk a collision or inconveniencing them. So it's really about looking for your opportunities and also looking out for danger. So whenever we see that the view is poor, we're anticipating danger and slowing down, but when the view ahead is reasonably clear, we're picking up the pace to be able to carry on. Again, we've talked before about the police training. They look for threats and opportunities. So we're considering a possible threat whenever the view is poor, and then whenever the view ahead is reasonably clear, we're taking that as an opportunity. But without being reckless, as I say, at no point during this journey have I got much above 35 miles an hour. And as I reiterated earlier, this is a 60-mile-an-hour road. Again, warning sign on our left telling us that it's narrowing. Going past the cyclists, we're coming over a bridge, expecting possibly to meet traffic the other way. There's certainly not room for two vehicles, not even me and the cyclist, to fit over that bridge. So it was fortunate we met him a little bit earlier. The road bends to the right as per the warning sign, so you are looking out for your warning signs. There's the sharp bend that it was indicating. Slowing right down to about 15 miles an hour, because again, as we went around that corner, we really didn't know what could be coming the other way. I've got a car coming the other way, so we've slowed right down, and because it's so narrow, we've decided that we're going to pause and stop, and that's going to reduce the amount of risk for the other driver trying to go past us and for ourselves, because two moving vehicles, obviously it's harder for them to judge exactly what the clearance is, whereas if one is stationary, it's going to be much easier for the other to navigate around them. And always be prepared to be the one to stop. And that goes for when you're driving in town as well. There are plenty of places in town where it's very narrow or parked cars are reducing width. You always want to be able to and be prepared to wait if the other driver either appears to have natural right of way or doesn't want to stop. So again, it's a nice sunny day, so watch out for that low sun. Fortunately, I think most of this journey the sun's behind us. Cyclists there, got the opportunity to pass them. Another cyclist coming up. This one again looks clear, so we're getting past them. We're looking to give them 1.5 meters of clearance at all times. Even with the larger vehicles, we're able to get past them. There is enough width. It looks particularly narrow on the view here because of the way the camera sort of fisheyes things. But the width was there, as you see, for me to squeeze past a relatively large van. But still trying to make sure that we're not going to any of these things far faster than we could deal with. So again, left-hand bend, a little bit more in the way of parked traffic. So again, anticipating people coming the other way. We've got plenty of gaps between these cars, so we will be able to pull in if somebody did come the other way. And you see, going through there, even though we were only doing about 25 miles an hour, through that, and in fact through all these narrow stretches, it feels quite fast. And that is really down to the fact that the width of the road is narrow. And again, we're back into a 60 now. So, as I said, believe it or not, this road, like the road up at Mount Tabor going down to Worley, is a 60-mile-an-hour road. I'm doing 30 miles an hour. I think if you're sort of looking at the camera, you would probably hopefully agree with me that that's more than quick enough, bearing in mind how fast things are passing us and how little view we have as we come up to some of these bends. So slowing it back down again, close to the 25-mile-an-hour mark. Back down, dropping down, and then going steadily past the other car. You need to make sure that they're confident of their position as well and that they're holding a nice steady course. If it looks like they're moving about in the road, then again you may need to move further out of the way, and that's going to be done much more safely if you slow down or virtually stop as you do so. You don't want to be going past them at speed. So more low walls and low hedges. Again, driving just around about 20 miles an hour because this section's particularly blind in terms of the bends. As today we've not really encountered any traffic ahead of us. We've not come across any walkers, cycling. Well, we passed those two cyclists earlier, but nothing like horses or farm traffic. You can also see the other hazard on the road there, where the sun hasn't managed to get through yet because it's relatively early in the morning. The road was wet and muddy, so that's potentially slippy. So again, that's one of the other hazards you need to be looking out for when you're driving in the country roads, especially as we're getting towards autumn time. Combination of mud on the road, wet roads, leaves, all these things are going to make the road particularly slippy. Now we're coming down into a village, speed limit's dropped back down to 30, but we're doing even less than that. We're doing about 20 miles an hour as we go around that bend. And again, it squeezes up a little bit more narrow with the walls either side. There's really nothing here that you would want to be hitting in your car. You're going to do an awful lot of damage to your vehicle and quite possibly to yourself as well. And there's very little wiggle room when you're passing cars on the other side to be able to get past them. So again, about 20 miles now. Speed limit goes back up again with that black and white sign back up to 60. So just picking it up, but getting up, still only doing about 28 miles an hour. So 45 kilometers an hour it says there at the moment. And then slowing down a bit more for that corner. And we're going to get safely to where we want to be, which in this particular case was Malham. So this is the road we've driven on from Gargrave down to Malham. And within a couple of minutes we should be parking up, and then we're going to spend a very pleasant day looking at the cove and having a very nice walk as we did in the sunshine. But again, this piece of the road pretty narrow. The shadow on the other side again is reducing the ability to judge what's going on. There's another warning sign there to look out for. So all these red triangles are giving you information about what's coming ahead more specifically. And then the slow on the road, as I say, if you just think of it as slowly, look out, warning, that will help you heed it. You won't always know exactly what it is that it's warning you about,